Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Giggle Economy Podcast. I am your host, as always, David Mascorro, a currently quarantined comedian living in Austin, Texas. But for now, until I can get back on stage, I sit down every week and talk to a comedian on Zoom. My comedian friend interview this week is very funny. Will Gibbons. Will Gibbons, how are you?
I'm fantastic today. It's 14 days exactly until Valentine's Day. This is why I'm wearing a pink shirt.
Well, it's very beautiful. I like. Thank you, and thank you so much for dressing up. I feel I was trying to. I'm going with my gray kind of comfortable Sunday sweater, as this is a Sunday we're recording on.
I wore this at work, and people thought I was the manager.
Where this is a job podcast. Where are you currently? If you can say, no big deal if you can't. But where are you working right now?
Right now, I'm working at an affordable living facility for seniors, and all of them really love me, and I make them laugh. So they accepted me like right away.
Nice. I do like you have. For people that don't know you, we met at Funhouse open mic in Portland, Oregon. Was it an open mic or was it a showcase that day?
It was an open mic. Yeah.
Okay.
It was an open mic.
So we met a while back then, and I told you I was from Chicago. Now I live in Austin. I'm traveling all around, basically.
All around.
I lived in Chicago. I'm in Portland. Now I'm in Austin. I like to see all these. I like to go to places with a good comedy community and cheap rent. That's basically what I'm doing. I feel a little bit of like a carpetbagger at some point. I know some people don't like that term, but I just like to move around from time to time. And I was just in the process of getting new to the Austin community, and then everything shut down.
Yeah, well, now that the virus is starting to find new hosts, you know what that means.
I know. I've been saying MC instead of host.
I've been thinking of that joke like for a long time. Yeah.
But so you live out of this.
I've been staying funny throughout the whole quarantine. So
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear it because, like, I've been trying. This is my way of keeping my sanity because I haven't been on stage. Last time I was on stage was when the Austin area dipped down, and it was in October of 2020. But before then, it was March of 2020. So I had taken a long break.
That's a long gap.
Yeah, and the only reason I did the show in October was because everyone had different mics. It was an outdoor show, and I think it was a big spread out area, and there was about 20 people in the whole audience, and each comic had a separate mic. Everything got wiped down, and it was outside. So we felt, and it was in level, like a safe, you know how like they have, I don't know, wherever you are, do they have levels of contagious people? Like right now we're in stage.
Austin's purple. We're in the purple.
Yeah. So you have colors, and we have stages. Like we have stage right now. We're in between stage 4 and 5, which 5 is the worst, and 4 is pretty bad. So that's where we're at. But so you have purple, and is purple good or purple bad? Because usually
purple is bad because the dining room is closed, and residents all continue to have to stay inside. But every time I interact with them every day, I keep them. That's 1 year. I keep them alive.
That is true. That is, and you had the added responsibility of. You're taking care of our most vulnerable citizenry.
Yeah. They want to interact with me with even before COVID. They got up so close to me that we were breathing in each other's faces.
Oh man.
And so they still want to do that, but they forget to social distance. You know?
Yeah. So what I feel like, do you feel like you have a very unique look, and I don't mean that in a bad. I'm saying you have very.
Yeah, no, I've gotten a lot of different like.
You have just a classic look. You look like a time traveler. You look like you stepped right out of like a period from the past. Have you gotten a lot of compliments from people living in the assisted living facility that say you look like so and so?
80s porn stash or whatever.
You kind of look like you could be one of those. Like either Peaky Blinders or people that watched on Netflix, or like a Derringer, member of the Derringer gang.
Yeah, or Mr. Smith from The Matrix.
Yeah, I like them all. I just think you have a very classic look, so I imagine people at the assisted living.
I got very
facility.
lucky.
Yeah,
if I looked anything else, I don't know if I would be where I am today. Yeah.
I do appreciate a man that has a confidence to rock the mustache and take all the brunt of all the jokes that comes with having a mustache, because I had a mustache for a little bit and I had to be a little bit cowardly and grow out the rest of it. It takes a certain personality
to do
type.
what you're doing right there. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, I can do that. I can definitely do that, but it just doesn't look good. I mean, it doesn't look as good as with just the mustache. You know?
Yeah, and that's what we got to figure out. Like, so mine looks fine too, but I definitely is a different kind of vibe. And I think, like I said, pink shirt, opened up area right here. It kind of sets up who you are. People know who you are.
The funds,
yeah,
you know?
exactly. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about, like, so how long have you worked there at the assisted living? And by the way, are you still in Oregon or are you somewhere else?
No, I've been in California since June 23rd of 2019. Yeah.
Very nice. Because what made you leave Oregon? And do you have family in California?
Well, I have one brother, but my parents still live in Oregon.
Nice.
Yeah. And I started out in a recovery program.
Oh, okay. I'm drinking soda water, so no worries there. I'm drinking. I don't want to be like, the inconsiderate person that says all of a sudden in the middle of a podcast, we are sponsored by so and so liquor.
Blue Ribbon.
Yeah. So congratulations on being that. I always like people. I'm myself. I take the first 3 months of any year off from anything. So I don't do anything the first 3 months of any year because it's a lot. And 2020, because it was an election year, I was going pretty hard on watching the news and having a drink. So I was like, I'm glad to take a break. 3 months. I'm done with my first month. I'm like,
breaks, from anything is just, it's relieving.
And how long have you been in the program?
Well, I got out July 11th was my release date.
Did you? And everything's going.
Out in Huntington Beach. I was in Huntington Beach for 3.5 months.
Nice.
And then I moved inland.
How was that for you?
I learned a lot. I learned a lot of how being sober is the healthiest way to live life. Yeah.
Yeah. What was your thing? What was your preference on things that you felt like you had a little bit of a too hard of a grasp on?
Drinking, and I did some hard drugs.
Okay. Yeah, the drinking is, I'm starting to let it go just because I want to be, obviously, I feel like as comedians, we tend to want to put ourselves in a different state, maybe for confidence reasons, or it's hard. It's a hard life. Or
mind game. I think it's a mind game too.
Yeah, setting yourself up to be, because a lot of the thing is, like, when I would have a drink, when I first started in Chicago, I would have a drink because I would be intimidated by the people around me. Yeah. And I wanted to
judged almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's a social aspect, that kind of thing. So I totally understand that kind of thing. And then Oregon was like, everything's legal basically there right now. Like, I think they decriminalized everything.
Yeah. They just made it a fine instead of a penalty. Yeah.
Which I think if I talk all the time about, I think we should really focus on the mental health aspect of the drug war instead of just
get them in the recovery. People who need help, get them in recovery. Yeah.
So I'm glad you got help, and I'm glad you're here and talking to me. And now we're going to talk about some jobs you had. How, like I said, right after you got out, this was your first job at the assisted living. Right after you got out of the program.
Yeah. So get well job is what they call it. Yeah.
Oh, nice. And it's nice to see, like, because you are in a nice place and you feel like you learned a lot. Now you're taking care of others. And do you think you would ever have done that? Have you ever done this kind of work prior to the program?
No, I've been looking for similar work, like when I was living in Lake Oswego with my aunt for 3 years.
Wow, I've never lived with an aunt for an extended amount of time. How's that? What's that like?
Oh man, there's so much comedy around that right there.
What was your aunt like? I want to know. 3 years you must have gotten along a little bit.
Really good cook, Italian,
Oh,
so it's dangerous there in that department. So she would share, like, if she made extra pasta, I would have it.
I bet.
She was very, very. I mean, it was also nice when she wasn't there, just me doing whatever, whether it's what was entertaining online or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when she was there, sometimes we'd watch something together, and we'd interact. We'd have a different relationship than any other family members would, I think.
Yeah.
So we got along, but then there were some times where I would be on weed and be like argumentative,
Oh, really? I didn't know that people could be, and that's just my experience. I feel like argumentative would have been in my bottom 10 of describing words for being on weed.
Yeah.
I would have thought like hungry, inquisitive, maybe
Relaxed,
absent-minded, vapid, but argumentative would have definitely been 9 or 10 on that list.
Yeah, well, when I drink a lot, yeah, I definitely can get, if I'm like having too much fun and someone tells me, "Oh, let's go, let's leave," then I'm gonna be real with you,
Yeah. So I like that you live with your aunt. Was it a pretty big house, or was it like it wasn't like
No, it was a condo. It was a condo in Lake
oh, that's
Oswego
good.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like Lake Oswego. I remember one thing I like about Lake Oswego. People that don't know that have never been to Lake Oswego, really ritzy part of Oregon.
Or as they call it, Lake N-word. I don't want to say that, but yeah.
It's really fancy. I mean, I didn't know it was this fancy. So they had a little nice square. But the reason I knew it was like a downtown, they'd have a farmer's market and there's like a French bakery. But the reason I knew Lake Oswego was really fancy is one time I rented I wanted to get out of Portland, so I rented a apartment, another suite at the hotel for New Year's Eve. I just want to get out of Portland and just go have a night outside of the city and just not be at bars with people. And I just went to go.
One time,
yeah. So I did that, and I drove around the city. And the day before New Year's Eve, I walked into the Lake Oswego Public Library, and the Lake Oswego Public Library is
I've been there.
Beautiful, beautiful.
You just want to stay there forever.
It's just the most. If you're a fan of books, reading, and this is how I knew it was a little ritzier. They have Blu-ray DVDs to rent and vinyl records. You could rent vinyl records at the Lake Oswego.
Classic. Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing. I've never seen that, and then current selection too, not just like Beethoven or anything like that. Like I'm talking about, like I saw like a couple of Kanye West vinyl albums. I'm like, wow, they have like some amazingly rare records, and I was like, this is cool. Like this place is fancy. And then I felt like I was too fancy to be there. I went to the magazines, which now thinking of COVID, I can't even imagine next time I'm going to be in a library and just picking up things willy-nilly. But I read a couple magazines that I've never knew about. I think I read, it was like a Popular Mechanics offshoot. It was something about the future of AI, and I thought that was interesting. And then I read another one. I think it was a episode of or a copy of O Magazine, and it was some byline that really made me laugh, that like Oprah got talked into a topic. It was something like buttons or zippers, what's next? It was something like that, insane sounding too. I'm like, what is this about, and why should I pick this up? And I'm like, okay. And apparently zippers, which I would have guessed Oprah would have been into zippers more than buttons.
It's easier,
I guess. Yeah, I would thought it was funny to be like, that old argument. She must have been on weed and argumentative as well. So, so tell me more about you. Tell me, what's the first job that you can remember having, or first time someone ever gave you money for a task? Tell me about that.
Money for a task. Well,
like a paper boy or anything.
I want to start with soccer refereeing and teaching kids how to play soccer.
Nice. That's amazing.
Yeah. This is just another job that I just really enjoy, not just for the money,
No, being outdoors. Do you play soccer?
I did. Yeah, I played soccer in high school and tennis in high school. Yeah.
Nice. What's the hard? As a Latino, I'm very jealous. I could make my father way more proud of being a soccer player than I could as a comedian. If I was a soccer player, if I was doing I look up. Do you do this from time to time? Do you look up different Will Gibbons on the internet and see what they're doing?
Yes, I see a bald guy with glasses.
I look up different David Mascorros, and they're all more Latino than me. And there's this Latino David Mascorro, and he's a baseball player. I think he's from Dominican Republic or from Guatemala, and he's a great are
you happy with him, or are you jealous?
I'm happy that he exists, because I'm glad there's a Dave Mascorro killing it in the world of sports. I love that idea. Okay. And then there's Dave Mascorro, I think in San Antonio, which I'm close to, but in the time I was looking, I lived in Portland, and he was a photographer, and he did really good family photos. Yeah, exactly. And so I was like, I have a lot that keeps me in focus of, okay, I just can't stray into their areas. I take photos, but wouldn't say I'm a family photographer.
Like you're passionate about taking photos.
Yeah, I like taking photos. It's a hobby, but I wouldn't say it's my passion in life,
Yeah.
Well, you found a bald guy, comedy, but what else?
I've gotten a laugh just by saying comedy is a passion.
Yeah.
I mean, That's why comedy is so subjective right there. I mean,
Yeah, but the thing about we got off track a little bit, and that's my fault. But the thing about the soccer, how was that? You had to be the referee, or you had to be the coach. What was the specifics?
yeah, I was a referee and a coach at the same time. That's what's great about the job. You can teach kids how to play, right?
Was it one of those games where everyone wins at the end of the game?
Yeah, everyone wins.
Nice.
Everyone's a winner. Yeah.
What was the hardest thing about? What age of kids were you teaching?
Oh, like 8, 9, 10, 11, like really old, like really, really, really young. Yeah.
If I was to picture you, Will Gibbons, great mustache.
I don't think I had the mustache then, so I think we're safe.
I know. I'm just saying. No, but I'm just saying. I picture it: mustache, soccer jersey, shorts, whistle. You have a very good coach vibe too. You have a vibe of a coach, and I like that about that. What was rewarding about that?
The reason why I did it is because I knew a lot about soccer, and I just had that that mindset of, that leadership.
What was the most rewarding day of your coaching? Starting off with that.
Most rewarding day was when all the kids are just simply having a really good time, and the parents were seeing that as well. And even though they were, not throwing in the ball right, or just if the ball went out of bounds and they still played on, they were still. I could see how much fun they were really having.
Did you feel bad for the kid that was like always picking up the ball, or
this isn't a rugby?
Yeah. I always imagined it was hard to be like, oh, the kid loves it, but he just doesn't grasp the concept of what this is. Like the goalkeepers for 8 to 9-year-old soccer your heart must go out to them, because there's so much pressure on them, because the parents, I bet you were yelling more than the kids.
I've gotten yelled. You have to take the parents yelling at you. You have to be able to take that mentally.
Yeah. What was the worst thing that's been yelled at you?
Let's see. It was, hey, it's my son's team's ball. What are you talking about? Or just something, really ridiculous.
I love it. I love that. It's
nothing else to do but yell.
Yeah, I love that. It's just aggressive information. I like that. That's just what it was. It wasn't anything about who you were, which is good, because their kids are obviously there. And but like aggressive. Hey, our team should be closer to winning than the other team, and you need to know about that.
Yeah, the parents were more competitive than the players.
Oh man, that's a fun job. How long did you end up doing that?
Oh, I did it, off and on for like a couple of years, and it was seasonal.
Nice.
It was just a very, and I might go back to doing it again. Once COVID opens up, and just referee here in California.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. It's getting. We in Austin just got an MLS field. I think they're just opening up a professional soccer stadium here in Austin, so that's coming soon. I'm excited.
Very similar situation to the Timbers.
Yeah, so it's going to be. I think there's some kind of like cedar tree. I think it's like FC. And if you know what the sports, put in the comments on this YouTube page. I'll figure it out later. I think it's like a tree or something. I think it's like FC Austin. I'm not sure what it's Football Club Austin, but their logo looks like a tree. Yeah.
It's so replicating Portland.
Yeah, it just seems like everything is like strong. I mean, people always say that about Austin and Portland. They're very different. I feel like
just the cities. Yeah,
they're just. I think there's with Austin. I think there's, and this might be. If it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, because I know a lot of good musicians in Portland. I think it's slightly a higher caliber music city than Portland.
You got Austin city limits.
Yeah. And but we're not the best music city in the world. I mean, there's so many. There's Memphis and Nashville that compete for that as well. So
jazz and
and so I mean, between the blues and I think we're just very good for indie rock. I mean, we have South by Southwest, we have Austin City Limits, we have a lot of venues, and this has just killed this COVID has just killed our industry. All of our venues have been closing down, and I watched a bunch of documentaries about like how much a musician makes in Austin. And when it was cheap, it was $16,000 to live in as a musician making gigs. $16,000 is not a lot.
Oh, that's not a lot. No.
But if you're just doing gigs and you have like $300 rent, that's not a big deal. Like and hopefully one day you'll make it. But now rent's like $800, like $800 a month, and that's on the cheap end. Mostly, if you live downtown, it's $2,000 a month, and you're like, what's going to happen? I don't know. Like, at least with comedy, I can do this kind of outlet. I don't know about you, but what have you? How's California? Because I know that's everyone's fleeing from that state because they think that state's too expensive. But
well, once it all opens up, I'm going to experience the Irvine Improv. There's that comedy club. Just sort of experience all the comedy clubs around here, and then eventually, just get my foot in the door in the LA scene.
Did you ever have a romantic idea as a comedian to be a doorman, like at the Comedy Store?
Oh yeah, like very similar to a bouncer.
Yeah, I would love to be a door guy. I think that's like, especially at the Comedy Store, I think that would be like a dream. If I was like starting off again, if I could do it again, just go to LA like 18, 19 and just like, can I be a door guy? And then just so I could watch and hear and then just meet all my heroes.
Maybe a juggle fruit outside or something.
Something. I used to in Chicago, I worked at a bar that did comedy. And before I ever did stand-up, I worked at a bar and the only reason they put me behind the bar to serve beer was because I worked at a Chili's once and I knew how to serve beer and wine and drinks.
Oh, so yeah, you just have.
I just had a little bit.
Right there.
I have chain restaurant bartender experience, and they're like, Chicago was like, perfect. Well, you're hired. Can you pop the tab off a PBR? And that was my in right there because I was near Margarita Mix, that kind of thing. When you tell me a little bit more about your stand-up comedy, because like I said, I love, when we first met, we met at this open mic. I love people that do one-liners, and you've
seen my, through the 9 years, you've seen sort of my style, right?
I have, and I went back through before our interview today. I went through and I was watching some of your old clips, and I was thinking to myself, I love people that do short, quick punchline, like set up punch, one-liners. And I was like,
they want to laugh. They want to laugh as soon as possible. So I
love your aesthetic. I love your voice. I love your delivery. How did you fall in love with that?
Confidence, right? It was perform, get confident. And
I do. I'll put a link. You send me the one that you like the best, and I'll put the link of your favorite set in the description of this episode so people can see your comedy as well. But
David, you're a good person. I'm so glad.
No, I'm glad you're doing it. So tell me a little bit why you got into comedy and why that specifics, because I do longer jokes. I'm kind of rambly. I'm kind of like now, but with more punchlines and more, but it's just one of those things. And you have a very specific short, boom, boom, boom. And why does that appeal to you? And why did you get into it?
It appeals to me, and I got into it because I just knew that it was right for me. I based on my shtick and my style and my looks and my body, my posture on stage, and how I wanted to tell the joke and the delivery. I mean, it's everything. That's why it's an art. There's so much involved.
Yeah.
In just being up there. It's not just being up there and words. It's basically acrobat. Acrobat with words. Yeah.
I like that. When was tell me a little bit about your first night of doing stand-up comedy? Was it open mic? Was it did you do an amateur night? Like, did you do a poetry night? What was the first time you went up ever?
First time was, I think, oh God, first time. Oh, definitely in Salem at an open mic. I don't think it was Capital City yet.
Yeah.
But Capital City Theater was the open mic I would go to a lot.
Yeah, and now they're the Infinity Room for people.
Yeah, the intertwines.
Which if you're going to go to a place and wait in line to do an open mic, the place with the name Infinity might be a little like whew. I like the name, but I'm just saying, if I had to go to, if you said there's an open mic at the Infinity Room, that's like saying, hey, I'm going to eat at the place called The Very Long Wait. Like I'm just,
it doesn't never ending.
Yeah. it sounds kind of daunting at that point.
I'm sure a lot of comedians had joked about the name of it.
I like it. It's
but I mean, it's a fantastic name. It's not.
And I love the people that work there. And I was watching some of
Jared and everybody. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're such good people. So you went up there. What was the first time that you got a laugh? What was that? Were you were you, what do you remember the first joke you opened with? And if you don't want to say it, that's fine. But do you remember the first setup or how, and then how did that happen? What was your first inspiration about writing your first joke? How about that?
Oh, I've told so many like one-liners there. It's hard to pick out the first one, but there's one that's, if Salem had a homeless protection program, and I think it was about like people beating up people, and homeless people, and it was, yeah. I mean, there was that one, and then there was one. I would carry around a bathroom scale with me, and when someone asked me why, I would tell them, "Well, there's a will, there's a way."
Nice.
And,
I like it. I didn't mean to put you on spot. I know that it's kind of hard. Do you find, and this was always my thing as someone that does, I love doing one-liners in my set, but I find like it's like a domino. It's like a domino, like setting up dominoes.
yeah.
If I do it in the wrong order, if the middle one gets said first, I can't say the other ones. Say the rest. And I'm like, I'm fucked. So how do you put them in your head? Like, do you have a system? Because I know for people that are watch this podcast, they know we do comedy and they love to know the ins and outs of how to be a comedian.
Yeah, so how I would do it is what makes it easier for me is I'd say a one-liner and then I would go, speaking of, that's one of my other things. That's like a transition.
Your segue into it.
And then I would say a random word, it doesn't have to do with the next joke at all,
I always like the comics like there was a comic that says called Hamburger, and he could just always do a segue by just saying the name of a food, like, all right, so yada 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 hamburger, and then just clear it out and then just keep going with his act. And I was like, what a nice comedic Tourette's on that right there. I just love that idea.
During everything,
like
set line, segue.
Yeah, everything, every little bit. Like I was at the store the other day and I thought to myself, joke right here, hamburger. And then then I walked over. Like I just love that idea. If you could be a catchphrase comic, what do you think have you thought about doing that as someone that does?
Catchphrase. Yes, of course. Yeah.
Any ideas you want to roll off the top of the head or because I thought for a while I thought I wanted to be like, so there it is, or like, so you were saying like, I'll be like, and that's that, or some, I always thought it'd be funny just to be like, and that.
Yeah, it's one of my catchphrases. Yeah.
I love it, dude. I love it so much.
That's my signature word right there. Yeah.
I love it. I love it the way you say things too. You have like a crackerjack affectation to your voice that it just sounds like I'm about to learn the winners of a horse race. Like it just, I love. Where's your family?
Do a horse announcing. Here comes right around the corner.
Yeah, Preakness coming in last. Where are your family from? You're from Oregon originally, or what? But like
Arizona. Mom is from Missouri. Brother's from Salem. It was.
So it's probably Missouri. It's probably Missouri and a little bit of your dad, Arizona, maybe like
the deep Southern Australian accent. There's also an accent in there too. Yeah.
You're just
on
such
an accent on accident. Yeah.
You know what I like about you? The more I know about you, the more questions I have. That's what I really. That's
fantastic. Yes. I knew this was going to go really well.
Yeah, it's just a fun thing to talk. And so let's get back into the. You did the soccer coach, and I'm glad that you did that. It's very rewarding. What's another job that really kind of sticks in your memory, or a person at any job?
Yeah, I thought about this one because I knew what this podcast was going to be about jobs.
Oh, good.
So there's this one I found through a community college. Well, a buddy of mine I met while going through welding.
You're a welder?
Well, I'm not a welder now. I didn't pass the certification test.
Okay, so
you're so many wormholes.
You're an attempted welder. Good to know.
I'm attempted. I thought it would be fun. So,
absolutely. And who knows a broke welder? No one knows a poor welder. I always know welders get paid well.
Oh, underground? Well, I mean, not underground, underwater welding.
Yeah. Spot welding. I mean,
$100 an hour almost. Yeah.
I mean, this is a manufacturing country. So if you know how to weld, you know how to put things together, you'll be set.
Yeah.
So you did that, and you met. I didn't mean to interrupt you. You met someone doing welding, but you didn't pass your certification. And then what happened?
And so he found this job that was almost in Woodburn, Oregon. It's
Mm.
like it's in like it's at a warehouse, and it was this, I think it was basically like cleaning pallets, and I really don't know exactly what the job was called, but when I got paid, my checks got bounced.
Oh no!
So it ended up like not being a real thing.
So you worked a fake. You did real work for a fake job.
Yeah, yeah.
I
So there's that experience. Yeah.
I hate that. I hate that idea of us of falling for a scam job. What was the interview process? That guy that you were, so he's like, well, this guy can't be a welder, but maybe I can get 2 weeks of work, 2 weeks of work out of him, and then bounce this check. Did you ever? What happened? How was the fall? Because that would piss me off to no avail.
Yeah, no interview at all. Just like boom. Here's I have this other guy who needs a job, and uh, I have transportation and everything, and I just need to show up and do the work, and
Damn,
yeah,
that
yeah.
sucks. I'm sorry that happened to you.
It's okay. I mean, you move on,
Yeah.
And,
Did you when your check bounced that day, did you go to the bank and do it, or did you deposit it like online or like one of those kind of things? Well, what was the way that you found out that you got ripped off?
I think through the bank. Yeah, like I turned the check into the bank, and then I think they notified me
Oh,
that it didn't go through.
that's awful. I just can't imagine.
Just the company didn't have the money or whatever. Yeah.
And then you just were they just like did they just fly by night? Did you try to call them up and then no one was there? What happened?
I think eventually I got the money somehow, because I'm not going to just like stop there. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna do
exactly.
whatever I can to get my money that I work for.
Oh, good. I'm glad I thought this was a story that it was a cautionary tale. Don't do work first, and then I got ripped off for 2 weeks. So you eventually got paid. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. I think
I always
eventually,
think I always think that's a very scary aspect of any work, especially sometimes when we do comedy. Have you ever been in a situation where we're promised money, we're promised a room, some drinks, any situation where you're like, I'm gonna have to get some money up front? Did you ever get into that situation, and tell us a little
money
bit?
under the table.
Yeah, not money on the table, but I'm talking about, like, a booker comes up to me, like say I'm Joe Schmo, the booker, and I'm like, Will, I love your comedy, you're great. Hey, if you're gonna come over here to my place, it's about a 2-hour drive from Portland. Come over here, I'll get you a free. And then, but he's like dressed weird, or he's moving different. Would you be like, I'm gonna need $100 up front, or whatever it is?
Oh,
or would
yes.
or would I just get put in those situations a lot. Sometimes I remember I will get an email from somebody, and it'll say, hey, I saw you on YouTube. Will you come out to the middle of nowhere and do a show for us, and we'll pay you like $100? And I'll look it up, and I'm like, that looks like where my body's gonna go if I go out there. You'll like Google Earth it.
But however, you're one of those comedians that will do comedy anywhere, right?
I will, but I have to. I will also check it out, and then if I don't know the person, I'm like, yeah, let me think about it. And then sometimes I get too nervous, and then I won't do it. Have you ever been confronted with like a hell gig situation?
Oh, yeah, at least once, where I was doing a virtual show, and it was a paid show in Newport, and they're giving me ideas like, oh, you should just dance and do your jokes, anywhere, and get hired at weddings, and okay.
You do it, like I said. Maybe they're not wrong about that. That's another thing. You do have like a party vibe to you. I will say that to you about Mr. Will Gibbons. You do have like a good, like, you look like a guy that is already there if I show up late to a party. Like, you're there, you're refilling chips, you're checking the mood lighting, you're making sure the music's on at a good level. You do, maybe that's, I wouldn't kick you out of a idea of being a party coordinator.
Oh, Yeah, no,
I think that'd be good. I think if you want to do it at the
that's a
assisted
giggle.
living,
Yeah.
at the assisted living facility, if you could throw a rager, what kind of rager do you think you would throw at the
I would
assisted
throw
living?
old people rager, and interview them about their history. Like, why'd you have 6 kids? Or
That would
yeah,
be. I would watch that on YouTube. I would watch you interview our older generations about the choices they made.
yeah.
Will Gibbons challenges your life choices.
Sort of similar to Zach Galifianakis's. Very similar to his.
Yeah.
In between two ferns. Yeah.
But I just think you have a forceful way about you where you can get to the root of the situation. Where I always feel like I just feel like I'm being too nosy. I think it's just lack of confidence.
Not
That's
noisy, nosy.
Yeah, I think I'm just be a little nosy on stuff like that. Tell me about another job that you had or another situation. Like, what did you want to be besides, like, growing up when you were in school? Is there any kind of occupation that really caught your interest other than stand-up comedy?
Well, yeah, I've been talking to a lot of people that went to high school with me, and they would say, yeah, I was not necessarily a class clown, but I was a lot funnier than the people who were actually trying to be a class clown.
Yeah.
Like I was just being my natural self, and they were just didn't want to do the homework and everything, and and so they just want to be disruptive.
Yeah.
And I had this call center job, and I listened. I know I have. This is when, of course, I knew I had a great voice, but I didn't satisfy the customer's needs. So my supervisor pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I want you to listen to this call." So I just listened to it. I was laughing inside. I couldn't laugh because there was like other people, managers and stuff around. And all I did was basically listen to the customer complain, and I didn't even do one thing to solve the needs.
So you were just kind of, it was kind of like, oh my God, can you, what context, like, what were you, was this like they were trying to get
I
like
wasn't even trying to be funny either. I was just trying to do the best I can to solve the needs.
yeah, what was it like a clothing return policy, or what was the customer trying to do, and what were you were just not responding to that at all?
I don't think I even found out what the customer was complaining about. Yeah.
Where were you in that day when you heard your voice back on that call? You're like, did you agree with your boss? You're like, yeah, I fucked up about that one. That was on me. Or did you be like, okay, I disagreed, but what was your feeling about that once you heard it?
No, I definitely agreed with him, and I didn't follow like we had an exec procedure we have to follow.
Yeah.
It's on a piece of paper, and we have to, right away we have to come up with why they are complaining and what it is. And some people are just, it was for Nike. So I got paid to go to Beaverton and go around the Nike headquarters. But yeah, I mean that day I felt bad that I did
And
the wrong thing.
So was it a shoe situation, or was it like a clothing situation on that call? Do you remember?
I think it was a shoe. Yeah.
Okay. So
but some people called about, oh my God, I lost my wallet, keys.
That seems like I imagine, was it just a thing where you're like, you just kind of zoned out at the wrong point, or was it a thing where it was just like, I don't care about this person's needs? What happened in retrospect?
It was a bunch of mixture of things. It was like, I'm uninterested in this job. I don't care about this person's needs.
Oh man, I always think about that.
I don't know this person, and I'm not going to see this person.
Yeah. How long? And did they keep you on for a little bit longer after that, or was that around your last couple of days there?
That was very close to my last day. But you know what? Our breaks, we get to play Xbox, a little Tiger Woods golf.
Yeah, there you go. What's okay? Think about this. You seem like a very independent man. I will say this. Did you quit that job, or were you fired from that job?
I think I quit. Yeah.
What's your most favorite quit at any job?
My most favorite quit.
Or just like just something like, like the day, like I'm not coming back to this place, even if you didn't like storm out.
Oh,
Just
the
like,
job I already told you about. Yeah, that one. Yeah, the
yeah,
flaky. Yeah,
the flaky. Oh, the one with the bank, the one with the bank.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
I bet that's the job you definitely quit. Like they don't have enough money to keep me on. You're like, fuck off. I'm not doing this. You had to shake them down for your 2 weeks and then you fucking leave. Good. I'm glad that happened for you.
Yeah.
I like the idea when you were talking about back, you're like, I was funnier than the class clowns. I like that. You kind of still said it like an assistant principal. you're like, you're doing good at the lunchroom, but you could be doing better. You do have like an authoritarian, not that's too strong of a word. You have a leadership presence to you that I feel like you're very role model-y kind of. Did you ever look at yourself? Because like I said, coach, that kind of thing. What's a job you would do that you've always wanted to do? Would you ever want to be like a politician? I could see you either doing like the head of a radio broadcasting service, or would you ever want to be a politician?
Right
like
there. I want to be I have my own radio show, definitely.
I would love it. I would. What would be the focus of that radio show?
Maybe like a biracial kind of a thing, positive, Yes, I knew you'd like that.
I appreciate it. What could you expand on the idea of a biracial radio show? Like, just so you would
without
have
being racist, right? So no
no,
racism.
no. I'm just wondering. You're like white host, black host. What are we going to talk about? Let's figure this situation out. Let's have a common bond.
All the cultures to combine, be united. That's what the podcast is going to be mainly about.
So it'd be like an NPR. It'd be like an NPR talk show about bridging gaps and learning about people's cultures.
Yeah.
What would the name of that show be? Do you have a name in your head?
The biracial.
The biracial. Keep it. I continue to say this. The more I find out about you, the more curious I become. Okay, so we're going to go into this for a little bit. As a man who I have this big box of jokes that I've written over the years, over my time in stand-up comedy. We're going to go into this, and we're gonna riff a couple with you. I'm gonna I would just do one at the end of the show, but we are having such fun. And I love your sense of humor, and I want people to have a taste of your sense of humor more. I'll put the link of your favorite set in below, so people will check out that link. But let's do a couple of let's let people see what your style of writing is like. We'll just, I have all these pieces of paper. They're from things that I've ripped out of notebooks over time that I thought were good ideas. I'll give you a little bit of context. And all they are different set lists or different ideas about things. That's all it is. So it's all, we're going to pick one. I'm going to swirl it around and we'll look at the condition of it first. And then we'll talk about what's on there. Okay. Well, this one's just an open mic list. That one's just an open mic list. So that one won't be very good. Let's see if there's any good ideas on there. Let me see who's on this. This is actually one from Oregon. Let's see if you're on this one. Let's see. There's Andy Main. There's Sean Connery. There's Dan Weber. There's Danny Feltz, Jeff Oliver, Jacob Christopher. Yep, I don't see you on this one, but doesn't mean you weren't there in spirit. Maybe you didn't sign up that night.
No, I've been in a lot of shows in spirit. I don't think I did a lot of shows.
Let's see. Let's look up another one. Let's pick
People
up.
know me for being prolific in Salem and putting on shows that bring Portland comedians down.
Yeah, I love that. I love visiting another scene that's close to the scene that you're at. Okay, let's pick this one. This one's a little piece of paper. So we're gonna read things and we're gonna see what we can do with the premise of it. Let's see. So, this is an old one. This one is from my time in Chicago. And I was doing a lot of writing about, before you know who you are in comedy, you just do things that you think are going to be edgy or controversial, or even like, oh man, I'm gonna really get them with this, and then it doesn't work out. That's what this one is. And it's my way of saying, okay, here you go. So let's see. It says 5 guys, and then it says that's about the estimate. We're not saying it's funny, we're just saying what it says. 5 guys That's the estimate of how much you'll weigh after eating there.
5 Guys. Oh, okay.
That's that's very bad. That's a very, so we'll I don't know why I kept this piece of paper other than maybe just a remnant.
That's a 400-pound. That's a very heavy joke.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think I go, it'd be funny to eat at a 5 Guys in the city of Gary, Indiana, because he'd be one of the 5 guys. Also, just try to tie that back in. Whew, just really thought that would resonate.
If you're following, Gary is the main character there.
Exactly right. Then it just says, and I have no context of what this says. It just says abandoned garage. Oh, abandoned garage sale, Indiana. Birthplace of tetanus, Indiana. I must have just really wanted to shit on Indiana.
Maybe the tetanus shot was in this abandoned garage.
Yeah, maybe. I like the idea of me being a Chicagoan at the time, wanting to okay, let's do those jokes when you travel, when you go on the road, and if you ever get booked in Indiana, you can shit on Indiana and just say, hey, the birthplace of the tetanus shot. I think in my voice, I can be like, I did not like Indiana, or I'd never been there, and I wanted to judge the shit out of the state that I considered inferior. When
you were writing that, did you do research about Indiana, or did you know? Well,
no, I think I was just guessing, because I knew that the only thing I knew about Gary, Indiana, was that's where the Jackson 5 were at.
Oh yeah, right.
So that's where they come from, from Gary, Indiana. And one time, so I actually went to Gary later in life after I wrote this, and I went there with
the joke.
Yeah. Exactly. That would be such a weird reason to go to Gary, Indiana.
I wrote about this joke in the city about this, and then I went there.
Yeah, that's a Comedy Central show just waiting to be canceled. Too expensive for a week setup. But I went there, and it was the saddest. It was even sadder than I thought, and I felt really guilty for making fun of Indiana because there was no infrastructure. Like, I went to Gary, Indiana, and everything was just boarded up houses, and it was just like a really sad place. And then when I looked at this, I'm like, now it's like, why make fun of something that's already sad? That's not our job.
Yeah, right.
To make fun of something that's already sad.
You just make fun of it in a fun way.
So that's that one. So let's pick up another one and see what we can do. That one's fine. It's at least it has an interesting. I always think to myself, I have a goofy sense of writing. Let's see, and I just don't know. It's hard to pull when you're writing. Are you?
We're both goofy. That's perfect.
When you pull out, are you a notebook person? Are you a phone person? How do you get most of your bits?
I have a lot of my one-liners on my computer here.
Really? You put them on your I envy all the laptop.
All the ones I've told. Yeah.
I love it.
100. Yeah.
Let's see. Let me see what I can do.
I haven't.
Okay. I'm going to pull out a small one. Let's see if I can pull out.
People are going to love my Snoop Dogg joke once I tell it here. Yeah.
Let's see. I already did that one.
I'm very close to Long Beach right now, where Snoop Dogg was. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. Let me hear it.
What does Snoop Dogg use for his white dirty laundry?
I don't know what.
Bleach.
Very nice. I have one that's like that. I'll volley one back. If this is badminton, we'll comedy badminton each other. Here's a quick impression for you. Move, beach, get out the way. Get out the way, beach, get out the way. That's my impression of the Atlantic Ocean. So that one's fun. Let's see. Here you go. This has one-liners. This is old. Look how old and frayed this one is. This is very old.
That's frail. Yeah. It's
just an old remnant of writing it down one day and keeping it. So these look like they're one-liners. So this will be good. The best dream catcher I ever saw was a pawn shop. Not too bad.
Oh no.
Not too bad. Not too bad.
Best dream catcher. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me see. Here's another one. Here's my impression of the Earth. Why is everyone always fucking with me? That's what I wrote down.
Yeah. is that when the flat and the round thing was going around?
I don't know what was going on. It must be at least 6 years. But this is a piece I can still read it, but it looks more confident because they're more in. Can you tell like when you like when I can tell I write
before it gets too ripped,
I can tell it's more. I'm not writing the whole thing out, so I know it's further in my comedy development because I'm not like writing every little. It's more like set up tag all the time. Let's see. Let's read another one.
That's why I love one-liners right there. It's just boom, boom, boom.
Oh, here you go. Here's another one weird one-liner. What's the purpose of gummy worms if not to catch Swedish fish?
Ooh.
Just a weird thought, but I like it. I think it's just
Swedish fish and gummy bears. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Let's see. Let me see. What's another one? Here you go. Here's another one. Meatloaf is as a food is very filling. As an artist, less so.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know what I don't know. I must have shit up. I go and then I wrote underneath it. Both look awkward placed on a motorcycle. So that's how I ended the joke. That's not too bad.
That's not too bad at all.
That's not too bad.
You're imagining Meatloaf on a motorcycle.
Yeah, not too. What? Tell me some. Tell me if you have your laptop pulled up. Let's talk about some bits that you like are working on. Let's hear some of your magic. I wanna thank you for letting me indulge into my old. All this segment does is just make me feel better that I never. I sidestepped all these, like I'm being a better comedian because I'm leaving all these fragments of half jokes behind,
Yeah.
So I want to hear some of that Will Gibbons magic.
Ooh, yeah, get your minds ready, everybody, because make way for Willie here. Gmail added so much stuff.
I'll look through this whole thing too. Let's see. Oh, this one's really old. This one just says Sarah Palin. I think it says. Let me see where I'm going to point it. Sarah Palin going rogue on this one. And then it said she's going to come out with an album called the You Betcha B-Sides. I don't know what that means. Let's see. I like. Let's see. God, these are weird.
Oh, weird jokes. Or drive. There we go.
This one just says vandalism. Knowledge is power. TB in Kansas. I have no idea what kind of motivational speaker. See, this is vandalism.
Oh, I got it.
Knowledge is power. TB in Kansas. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Plop, plop, fizz, fizz is an acceptable sound if you are using Alka-Seltzer. Not so much a dump.
How about, okay. That's what I like about your jokes. You could be if I talked about going to the bathroom, I get too nervous. I think my whole thing is I just get like, it just makes me nervous talking about it. Is there a subject in your jokes that you stay away from, or would you feel like as a one-liner comic, you can talk about anything and because you can talk about it in such short little snippets, little equal packets of time?
Yeah. Like religion, depending on how non-offensive it is. If it's like I've sort of one about religion as God. God was created in 6 days and rested on the 7th. I was created in 9 months, so clearly I'm a big deal.
I like that one. That one's good.
So, and then there's there's ones like, do you want to hear like sex jokes? Like, do you want to hear a kinky story? Last night I got one in my neck.
I love it. I just love the idea. I never know where you're going with your in your set. I feel very intimidated. I'm pulling out more. I just love it. I just love the idea.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of, so Oh man, these are some old ideas that I had and are very bad. Let's see. Oh, this one doesn't even make sense. This one just says three wise men, star, balloon in the sky. I have no idea what that means. What's the weirdest note you've ever found?
That sounds like an up in the air joke. You know?
Thank you. What is the weirdest play, like, after, as someone that used to drink, and I imagine sometimes, were you a person that would write on your arm or write on your hand during like little jokes or little ideas anywhere weird on your body? Or
I have a one-liner about drinking. I don't like the audience when they drink too much because of all the booze.
I love it. I love it. I just don't know. These are so bad. But I guess this is part of the process of being a comedian, that you just have to get through all the bad ideas
to get to the really, really good ones.
To get to the ones you actually want to talk about. It's just insane to think about how much time I really wanted to talk about things that I thought were funny. Yeah, it's just amazing to me.
Going through all this just goes back to all the memories of like when I told them and how I told them, and how much of a difference it made on people's lives.
Yeah. We're getting very close to the 1 hour, and it's been a wonderful time talking to you. And let's talk about, what was the last show from 2020 that you really enjoyed before everything shut down, and then what are you missing? What are you missing right now as we hopefully approach a time where we can get back on stage and tell jokes and be funny again? Tell me about, what's the last big show you did, and tell me about it. Give me the whole rigmarole about it, where you were and how you did and everything.
Oh, well, the last show I did was I hosted it, and I enjoy hosting a lot more than anything, because you still get basically feature in it. You're still basically doing all the you're doing everything. So hosting is my top favorite thing to do. So people came to the show just to see me, and that's a good feeling right there on its own.
Yeah.
And I just remember just giving it my all, craziness, and
was it still in Oregon?
Yeah, it was in Oregon. It was in Salem. Yeah.
And how packed was it? Like, if you were to think back with your COVID mind now, would you get COVID from that show?
Yeah, there was more than 10 people in there. Yeah.
I think about that all the time. I was like, and did you do a lot of after show, like hugging and shaking hands, and how much?
Contact? Yeah.
How much?
Yeah.
Are you nervous about getting on stage? Have you even come close to getting, like, thinking you might have COVID?
Oh yeah. I've came close. I thought I've had symptoms, but it was just, I don't know, the way my body was reacting.
I will tell you something very, very embarrassing, and I didn't know I was going to talk about this until just now, but it reminds me of how idiotic I can be sometimes. I thought I had COVID the other day, and it was just recently, like about 4 or 5 days ago. And what had happened was, beforehand, I was feeling tightness in my chest. I was feeling like the inability to swallow. I was feeling like a kind of I couldn't gather. And what had happened, what had happened was, I had put that in my brain because of the news but what had happened was I just drank soup too fast. I just drank soup too fast and had burned. And I was with people, like, I'm not people. I was me and my girlfriend were there, and we were she was right next to me, and I could have spit it out, but it's like we were eating in our living room, and it was like I could have just spit like soup all over the place, but I didn't want to embarrass myself with eating soup too fast. And what I did was swallow it instead, and then forgot that I burnt myself with soup, kept eating, and then freaked out that I had COVID.
Oh my goodness.
So what had happened was, I Googled it.
Near COVID experience.
Yeah. I Googled it, and I'm like, and I Googled drinking soup too fast. So, like, yeah, you can feel this part will burn. Like, you will have trouble breathing your chest, because it felt like I just couldn't. I was like, I could not believe I thought I got COVID. I haven't been outside. I haven't been doing. I've been getting my groceries delivered and all this other stuff. It was just my idiotic brain forgetting that I drank soup too fast.
And the heat sensation.
And the heat sensation had caused my throat to kind of temporarily swell up a little bit. And so when I got in the shower, I'm like, you know what? It could have been the soup. I was like, it's probably just the soup. And I was really embarrassed about that. And that's my big dummy moment of 2021 already in January, 4 days ago. I'm like, how embarrassing is that?
Oh, I got to say, that's embarrassing.
What's the most embarrassing? We'll end with this. What's the most embarrassing moment of Will Gibbons' life as someone that seems to, I think, like you have a cool attitude about you. I don't think you get embarrassed very often. Tell me, like, what's a moment that you were embarrassed in your life?
Let's see. Let's think about all the embarrassing moments that happened. How about getting belt whipped at a strip club in Salem?
That is very bad. That is very embarrassing.
That's embarrassing in front of everybody. That's pretty embarrassing.
That is pretty embarrassing. This wasn't a bouncer or anything like that. This was like a gift, right? Belt whipping, or was this, what kind of situation was a belt whipping at a strip club?
Oh, it's this customer's birthday, and I think it was after a comedy show too as well. And,
okay, because people outside, because now if you were to just say that, if I was to say that in Austin, Texas, we'd be like, you got beat up at this bar, like, but no, but in Oregon, strip clubs are very nice and friendly, and this would be a nice thing. So a nice stripper beat you on the back or the butt with a belt, or what was the context in this? And also it was a happy birthday celebration, and your friends thought you wanted to be spanked.
Like everybody, like in the bar, like everybody in the room, saw it, because even before the sound, when the belt hits wherever it hit, people knew what was about to happen.
Did you tip afterwards?
I tipped as well as I could.
Yeah, exactly. It's just what an Oregon story. I got hit by a belt, and then I definitely tipped at least 20%. That's our show. That's everything we have today. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today, Will. Tell people.
Let's keep in touch and everything.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. Tell everybody where they can find your comedy. Tell me your Instagram, your Twitter, all that stuff. Whatever projects you're working on. Tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, where you can find me. You can find me on Facebook. It's a picture of a lot of me. That's my profile picture, and Instagram, Will Cool J _J for Gibbons. I have 181 followers. And I post pictures of food that I eat at work. And
I did notice that. I saw that. It's very interesting. I think people, if you follow Will on Instagram, you can see all the pictures of his meals. And I thought that was very funny. Very good looking corn muffins, by the way.
Oh, yeah. They were so white, but it matches the white winter corn muffins. Yeah.
I love your brain. So please go follow Will on Instagram. And this has been an absolute pleasure. Yeah, let's definitely keep in touch, and hopefully soon.
Let's do comedy shows together. Why not?
Definitely. Let's figure it out. And then next time, either if you ever come down to Austin, let me know. If I'm ever in Oregon or California and we cross paths, let's do that. But thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, reconnecting. And I hope to talk to you very soon. We'll talk very soon.
Thank you, David.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Later, buddy.